Well, all right. We got the return of Anthony Joshua in that rematch with Oleksandr Usyk going on out there in Saudi Arabia, and some news involving Adrien Broner. With that being said, roll that beautiful bean footage.
Hear him. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier.
Hey, what's up with it, family? It's Hot Boxing Minute, your favorite pharmaceutical engineer turned boxing analyst, and let's just cut right to the meat of the subject. It's fight week, and we've got the return of Anthony Joshua in his rematch with Oleksandr Usyk. Or should I say, we've got the return of Oleksandr Usyk, who just got back from military engagement out there in Ukraine. Either way, in case you've lived in a cave and don't already know or forgot what happened, which is unlikely, Oleksandr Usyk put on a master boxing clinic against Anthony Joshua and took the unified heavyweight championships of the world. So Anthony Joshua went back to the drawing board. Now, he had Rob McCracken, his trainer, since he was an amateur, that got him all the way through the Olympics and guided him through probably the most heavily decorated professional heavyweight career in the heavyweight division at the moment. There really isn't anybody who has a resume like Anthony Joshua, despite the fact that he's got 2 losses on his record now. The first loss was that knockout to Andy Ruiz Jr., then, of course, most recently, the decision that he lost to the Ukrainian Oleksandr Usyk, Mr. I am very feel. So he decided to come out to the States. Now, Anthony Joshua was looking at quite a few trainers, amongst them Derek James. I believe he went to go visit Ronnie Shields too, if I'm not mistaken. Or was it just Derek James? I don't really know. But I do remember he did visit Derek James and did visit Robert Garcia. So we've got Anthony Joshua having gone back to the drawing board, paired up with Robert Garcia. Now, Robert Garcia does have a lot of championship coaching experience. Arguably, he's one of the best in the game. Now, he just recently helped coach Ryakapur into winning it by a knockout fight. And Ryakapur is a cruiserweight, so that can almost classify as heavyweight experience. And I think that'll be quite useful, or will be useful, in how he approaches teaching Anthony Joshua how to compete with that Mexican pressure style as a heavyweight. Now, we all watched that first fight between Anthony Joshua and Oleksandr Usyk, and it was an interesting affair. Now, when Anthony Joshua fought Oleksandr Usyk in that first fight, for some reason he had the idea that he was going to try to box with the boxer. You don't do that. You brawl, or you essentially brawl with a boxer. Like, for those of you that don't know. So AJ I don't really know what was going on in AJ's head in that original fight with Oleksandr Usyk, because he said in interviews he went out there to box the boxer, and you don't box a boxer. You brawl with a boxer. If you're fighting a brawler, you box him. If you're fighting a boxer, you brawl with him. You don't fight their fight, because then you're playing into their strengths. But yeah, he decided to box with the boxer, and we all know how that ended up. He lost. So I'm thinking that Robert Garcia is obviously going to be a good match with Anthony Joshua. I think Anthony Joshua under Rob McCracken is a little too boxing centric. Now that Anthony Joshua has paired up with Robert Garcia, he's definitely getting that come forward pressure application type of style. Definitely, hopefully, he'll get back to his roots of, throwing caution into the wind like he did against Vladimir Klitschko and just swinging for the fences, relying on his youth and his athleticism. And, he's got a great skill set as far as being an explosive power puncher, and it should be to his advantage against Oleksandr Usyk in this rematch. I think, as far as common sense would say, with Robert Garcia pairing up with Anthony Joshua, you're going to see a more pressure application style from Anthony Joshua. He should ideally try to cut the ring off and get Oleksandr Usyk against the ropes, but you never know. Oleksandr Usyk might be ready to brawl with Anthony Joshua, because Oleksandr Usyk has been looking pretty massive in his last few videos too. He's definitely gained some weight and some muscle mass. So it's going to be an interesting fight when they get in the ring this weekend in Saudi Arabia. So I don't know how I want to lean on this one, folks. We have seen Anthony Joshua take L's, come back, and get the win. So he knows how to adjust. We've never seen Oleksandr Usyk lose. I think the closest I ever seen him, or not even closest I've seen him get to losing, I think the most I've ever really seen Oleksandr Usyk get tested was when he fought the other champion in the cruiserweight division, whose name eludes me at the moment. But yes, the other champion from Eastern Europe, big guy. You know what? Let's look this up since I'm in the mood to figure this out. So we'll look up Oleksandr Usyk. it eludes me right now, but I remember it was in the World Boxing Super Series, and it was when he was unifying the cruiserweight straps. So, let's see, who was it? Maris Briedis, sorry. So Maris Briedis did have a very competitive fight with Oleksandr Usyk. So if you do get in his face and apply that pressure, you can do things, especially because he's so boxing centric. So the question is, will Oleksandr Usyk adapt? Because he did get huskier. So in recent videos, we've been seeing a much more swole version of Oleksandr Usyk, and that would lead me to believe that he's not going to be so boxing centric in the rematch either. And I think he's going to also try to use some brute force and raw strength against Anthony Joshua, who oddly enough has been slimming down for this rematch with Oleksandr Usyk. Fascinating chess moves and setups being made here by both parties going into this rematch. But yeah, it's going to be a big affair out there in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. And of course, you got the issue of Tyson Fury lurking in the cut. What is really going on with Tyson, the Gypsy King Fury? He's claimed to have retired again. He relinquished his ring belt, but he has not yet relinquished his WBC belt. In my opinion, here's what I think he's going to do. I think he's waiting for the winner of the AJ Usyk rematch. And I believe he will only come back out of retirement if the winner is AJ, because it would be a huge stadium fight, an all-British affair. It would be massive. I do not think he will come out of retirement if it's against Oleksandr Usyk, even though in all honesty, I would favor Tyson Fury to beat Oleksandr Usyk too. Anyways, just my opinion on that matter. Tyson Fury, forever the weird, elusive guy that likes to make everything about him. Especially odd during fight week or the week leading up to fight week, because he just made the announcement last week that he was retiring. Well, no. Last week he talked about he wanted that third fight with Derek Chisora. So yeah, the timeline of events with Tyson Fury is so strange. First he talks about retiring, and then he talks about a third fight with Derek Chisora, and then he relinquishes his ring belt, but he's still holding on to that WBC strap, so there's still faith. There's still faith in Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury linking up for a huge British super fight, packing a stadium out there in Wembley. Hey, maybe it happens if AJ beats Usyk, because I don't know if Oleksandr Usyk versus Tyson Fury has quite the same broad commercial appeal as a fight between a victorious Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury would. Anyways, leading up into this match, I was kind of thinking Anthony Joshua might steamroll Oleksandr Usyk and come with that chutzpah and the balls to just go all out. But then I seen Oleksandr Usyk looking pretty swole, so I don't know. It's a coin toss, but I think I'm going to lean a little bit in Oleksandr Usyk's favor. I think he might get the stoppage, y'all. He's just looking hella big. But I'm not confidently leaning in that direction. Boxing community, how do you think the fight between Oleksandr Usyk and Anthony Joshua in the rematch plays out? Let me know in the comments section. Don't forget to hit the like if you haven't already done so. So the next piece of news that I wanted to discuss, the last piece of news on this, Adrien Broner is pulling out of his fight scheduled this weekend in Hollywood, Florida with Omar Figueroa in the welterweight division, and he's citing mental health concerns. Now, I'm going to have to write now. How do I word this? Adrien Broner is pulling out of his fight with Omar Figueroa due to mental health concerns. I supported Ryan Garcia in this. I supported Danny Garcia in this. I'm going to support Adrien Broner in this. I'm not one to second guess what a person says as to why he can't show up to work. If he doesn't show up and he can't show up, hell, I support the dude, whatever. Men's mental health is such a serious thing, you guys. And it's hard to talk about. Actually, it's not hard for me to talk about in the real world. My homies I grew up with, and regardless of how people might perceive who I am, I was born and raised in the goddamn trenches. My mom is a straight immigrant. I grew up in the most violent neighborhood in my city of San Diego. It was actually featured on the History Channel's Gangland documentary. I'm not here to toot my horn on some masculino nonsense. I could care less about that. The point is that I'm from the trenches, and my homies I grew up with, we have talks with each other when we're going through some things. We have open dialogue. If not with them, it's with the guys I train with inside the gym. So when it comes to the issue of men's mental health, I can't speak on where everybody else grew up in, and this isn't to sound masculine or nothing, but yeah, I'm from the trenches, and the homies I grew up with, we have an open dialogue when we're going through some stuff. I got day one friends I can talk about my issues with. I got friends I have trained with inside boxing gyms for years, professional, amateur, and regular gym rats like myself, who I can hit up on the phone, hit up in the text, and be like, yo, let's link up. So I got some things I got to vent, and it's just fine. If you're a man and you're living in a reality where you can't vent, check your friends or get some new friends, because for reals, like, what are we doing in 2022? You can't express your feelings when you're going through some things. Miss me with that toxic masculinity nonsense, folks. You got to get it out there. This suicide rate is getting out of control. So that's what I think about men's mental health. And in the issue of Adrien Broner pulling out of the fight against Omar Figueroa, look, I'm on record as supporting Ryan Garcia in his awareness for mental health. I support Danny Garcia. I support Patty Pimblett. And you know damn well I'm going to support Adrien Broner. I've always been a supporter of About Billions. To me, he's a funny dude that brings joy to my life. He might say some off-color stuff that offends people who are a little, I don't know, don't pass the vibe check, but I rock with AB and I wish him the best, and I hope he figures it out. He has definitely gone to some dark places and he's been very open with it to his fans, but if there's one thing about Adrien Broner, he may be a lot of things, but a liar, he is not. He might be a little bit too honest, but anyways, I hope Adrien Broner figures it out. And anyways, coming up in that fight, Sergey Lipinets has decided to step in as a substitution. Now, Adrien Broner stepping out of the fight because of mental health concerns. Steps in as substitute Sergey Lipinets against Omar Figueroa this weekend at that fight card out there in Florida. And oddly enough, I think it's going to be a more action-packed affair because Sergey Lipinets, the former IBF junior welterweight champion, is definitely an action type of fighter, and so is Omar Figueroa. So at the very least, you know it's going to be an entertaining matchup. And I might even actually lean towards Sergey Lipinets to upset the apple cart with Omar Figueroa's attempt at a comeback after Omar Figueroa caught that last loss, because Sergey Lipinets is a tough dude. In his last fight, he got knocked out by Jaron Ennis. Before that, he had a draw with Gustavo Clayton, but he's been in some good fights with some tough opposition. I want to say, who did he fight before the Gustavo Clayton? Oh, yeah, he beat Lamont Peterson, got a win over Eric Bone, went the whole distance with Mikey Garcia. So Sergey Lipinets is of a solid pedigree. And at the very least, I think it's going to be an action-packed affair. Like I said, I might lean towards Sergey Lipinets to win that. Anyways, folks, what do you think about Adrien Broner pulling out with his mental health concerns? Do you think it's cap? I don't. If you do, whatever. Let me know in the comment section what you think about Adrien Broner's situation. What do you think about this new matchup between Sergey Lipinets and Omar Figueroa going into the fight this weekend in Florida? Let me know in the comment section, folks. Any questions, comments, or concerns? In the comment section, hit that like button. Are you not already pressing follow? Anyways, y'all, this is Hot Boxing Minute. Until the next time, peace.